motivation for starting the podcast, and when did you do it?
Well, the podcast started originally as a slightly different beast to what it is now.
Sounds like an animal. Anyway, go on.
Like an animal. It is an animal.
Rawr.
It's taking on the world, lioness-like. Lioness.
Yes.
Did you see I
yeah,
said
yeah,
lioness?
yeah, I like it, yeah.
It is now a co-creation from myself and Kait. We've developed it into a regular weekly podcast, which has a roundtable feature where myself, Kait, and Hayley McQueen, who unfortunately can't be here now. She's a very busy lady, isn't she?
She is.
She's always on Sky Sports News. In fact, there's a screen in the background. She's only just gone off it.
But if Hayley is away, we often invite one of our chums on, or a footballer. Natalie
Yes.
Sawyer's come on and do a few. Come on and done a few. Yeah.
And so we have a chat about football things, 3 different topics. We do a little bit of an FAWSL roundup, which was Kate's idea to bring in, do a bit more women's football. We have a Twitter topic of the week, which has been great because it means we get interactivity with our listeners. I nearly said viewers, we're so used to telly. You never know if we get a sponsor on board one day. And
the foreign roundups have been brilliant as well.
The foreign roundup.
4 female journalists.
That was my idea.
It was your idea.
I get one.
I'll totally credit you with that. 4 foreign female journalists from various leagues. La Liga, the Bundesliga, which has been great this season, and the Russian Premier League, and Serie A as well, giving us the latest, a couple of minutes on the latest from their league. And it just started to kind of format itself together well. We were given feedback after the sort of first initial few that the roundtable worked. People like hearing us talk about football. There's obviously a dynamic between myself, Lynsey and Hayley as well. Yeah. And we just sit and have a good old chinwag about football and kind of about the week's news stories, and also some interesting stuff that we sort of dug up as well.
Yes, and it's all very much not meant to be alienating for anybody. It's all very inclusive. Men enjoy it as much as women enjoy it. It's us not losing any of our femininity or our personalities. Little bit sometimes for Kait. No, you're fine. But we actually just have a bit of fun with it. But the whole thing was that it's got this unique selling point that it's women, all women, talking about football. We have lots of great volunteers on board as well who tweet for us and do social media, do website things, blogs, and they've been fantastic, and a lot of them are women, although not completely. But yeah, it's just got that unique selling point. It's had a lot of interest. We've managed to get big names on there. We've had Mourinho on thanks to Rhiannon this year. We've had...
Who's our La Liga expert?
We've had Faye White on, Rachel Yankee. Lots of different people, and today we're going to go and film, for the first time, and record at the Women's Champions League final at Stamford Bridge, so we're taking it on the road for the first time.
Yeah, we've got Team GB player Eni Aluko with us this evening. He's going to be co-hosting the podcast with us, and we just have a really nice time doing it. I mean, I hope that comes across really, that it's not meant to be staged. We're not factual geniuses about football. We don't have necessarily all the stats and all the facts and figures. We also...
Well, for one, we only go back to like early 1980s, don't we?
You do. I'm a little bit older. So it isn't meant to be threatening at all. And we certainly don't pretend to be experts, having once been professionals. We don't pretend to be like that. What we want is something fun, accessible, and
inviting
and inclusive. Yeah, for the people who are listening.
The Twitter topic of the week is obviously quite fun, and you've obviously had some probably quite good responses. What are some of your highlights from that?
I love it when people engage, and they actually send us videos. So they send us YouTube clips, they send us photos. We've had people who've actually then spurned a little life of their own from their own Twitter accounts from something that we've suggested, and that's great to see it take a life of its own.
We have regular tweeters as well for Twitter topic of the week, and we often give them a mention during.
We try and cut down on the regulars now a little bit,
but it's always nice because they've always got something really interesting to say.
Yes.
What was it like having Jose Mourinho on? That must have been cool.
That was great because Rhiannon gave me a call, and I very quickly, myself and Kait, we always talk. I think Kate's partner is like, you've got a second marriage to me, and
we're always a second wife. It's true.
Not that you're married, a second wife. You are married to Dan.
Just to be clear, I don't have any wives.
But it is sort of like a constant communication. So I got this call from Rhiannon saying she's based out in Real Madrid. She works for Real Madrid TV, has a very good relationship with Jose Mourinho, and she rang me and said, look, I really support what you're doing with the podcast. I think it's great. Would you like me to speak to Mourinho this week? Bearing in mind the timing of it was him potentially leaving Real Madrid and coming to Chelsea. So, you know, everybody wants to speak to him. So Alex Ferguson had just retired. And ITV had been on the phone to her and many other broadcasters from the UK and said, we'd love to get his response. Would you be interested in doing something for us? And the sweetie that she is, she actually rang me and said, would you like it for the podcast instead? And I, like an excitable 5-year-old, rang Kate screaming on a train. We've got Mourinho!
The people on the train must have been thinking, what on earth is going on there? Off the back of that, we've been so pleasantly surprised and so chuffed really with the support that we've been getting, not only from the girls and, you know, women working with us, but also from people within the industry as well. And I think, you know, women often when they work together are perceived as being backstabbing, bitchy and everything else, but we really do work together and we try our very best for everyone who works with us. So if someone does us a favour, we try and do them a favour back, because we believe that it should all be sort of holistic like that, I suppose.
We've had great support as well. There's a network called Women in Football and we're both members of that, and we've had great support from fellow members there, and lots of people come up to us when we go to those events and say, do you do the podcast? And
so it's been easy for us to get people like Laura Williamson from the Daily Mail in to co-present as well. I think people are excited by it, and because it's unique, because it's mostly an all-female production, we are getting a message out there, you know?
Yeah, lots of interest, hopefully.
I've listened to the podcast a few times and have heard you say the offside rule, we get it.
Yes.
Could you please explain it?
The offside rule. Well, before we go into that, because obviously that's quite easy to do.
A 5-minute conversation,
yeah,
with all the rule changes.
It depends on whether you want the corner flag rule in or not, or whatever. We could do it with like lipsticks and pencils and stuff, eye pencils. But
I really hate it, by the way. It is my bugbear. You know that little tweet thing that kind of went round Twitter, which explains the offside rule, with someone waiting in a queue to buy a pair of shoes, and everyone kept tweeting that to us. Oh, you guys are like this, and I just thought, you know, just because we're women who talk about football doesn't mean that we need the offside rule explained with a woman in a queue trying to buy a pair of shoes.
I know. It does drive us mad. But actually, the finer point to it is that the whole title, the offside rule, we get it, all came off the back of the Keys Gray saga. And it's not us having a pointed dig, it's just us going, hey, you know what, look around football grounds now, it's full of women, full of families, and you know what, they all know how the game works. It's not that difficult, for goodness sake. When a ball's played, you need to be in front of the last man, you know, we all know that. It isn't a difficult rule to understand. And so everybody, I think it was just an inclusive thing. We get it, we understand, we love the game, and we want to talk about it, and we want to have an opinion, and that's basically what it all spurned.
And as football supporters, which offside decision has angered you the most?
the Keys Gray one, when they actually berated Sean Massey, and she was correct, and that is always the forgotten fact in that, you know, she actually didn't get it wrong. In fact, I think she's one of the top
she's had a fantastic
linesmen in the league.
She needs to be refereeing, doesn't she, soon?
Yeah, she is.
In the Premier League.
Yeah.